Fight fans, welcome back to another episode of Phantom Punch Podcast.
Yes,
Apollo
sir.
Ali here.
What up? What up? Johnny Southpaw in the building. What's
We
up?
back, man.
Yeah, we are back on Zoom once again.
Yeah. Hopefully this will be the last Zoom joint.
This is the last Zoom joint. Excuse me while I pour myself something to
I'm
drink.
getting used to these, man. I ain't mad at these. We should have been doing this all quarantine.
I don't want to talk about it. I don't want to talk about it. We should have.
But,
But we wasn't set up. We didn't have everything. All worked out and all that. But we're good now.
Yeah.
So, we playing catch up.
We got options. Yeah, we got options now.
I am pouring myself something to drink. I don't know about you and the rest of the boxing community out there, but after this fucking weekend, I need something to drink.
Hey, man.
Yo, it was a very,
I didn't know I bought tickets to Barnum and Bailey, Ringley Brothers.
The Ringling Brothers, the circus, and then just some not what I expected shit to happen.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Like it was just a lot of bullshit.
I'm
I'm not really enthused about today's episode, but we're gonna power through it.
There was a good amount of shit that happened. We'll cover everything. But ladies and gentlemen, Johnny Southpaw, Apollo Ali here, Phantom Punch Podcast, episode 40, bro. We broke out of the 30s. We should be at like 60
80.
something. Yeah, 80, I think, somewhere around there. I don't know. But episode 40 here kicking off. And otherwise, how you doing, bro? Let's start there. Let's start with love. Let's lead with love.
I'm cool, man. But I feel bad for anybody that paid for that pay-per-view last night, man.
Yeah,
I feel bad for that.
Absolutely. We will get
I'm
into
irritated.
We will get into it. There's a lot of irritation in boxing right now. There's a lot of just so overall weird feeling in boxing right now with what we all witnessed this weekend. We knew it was coming. The Jake Paul, Ben Askren Triller event, the inaugural event, I guess the first one of the new Triller Fight Club thing. Yeah. So this was the first Triller Fight Club. I don't necessarily want to lead with this, honestly. We can get into it.
All right, well, let's move on.
Yeah.
We want to start.
First in peace, Jesus Christ. First and foremost, rest in peace to Black Rob. I didn't call out DMX. I should have, but rest in peace,
Rest
Black
in peace
Rob.
to Black Rob.
Yeah.
Two back-to-back weeks, man.
Another great, another hip hop legend. And it's fair to call him a legend, right? I mean, he has some.
Yeah, absolutely.
He has some slaps.
Stellar standout versus.
Absolutely.
24 hours to live, things of that nature.
Yeah, absolutely. I think our walkout section is going to contain a few of those. I'm sure. I know I got one in the tuck. That's why I brought it up. So
That's cool.
All right, man. I could see you irritated. Let's talk about some motherfucking boxing. So first and foremost, let's just start what's happening. I guess what's coming out. What just got announced. So the Showtime boxing Showbox. I think it's still called Showbox.
Mm-hmm.
The upcoming schedule was just announced for them, and some dope fights to look forward to. Some interesting fights with dates. That's a beautiful thing.
That's the best part. Let you know we got some stuff coming.
Yeah, absolutely. So just to go through, I'll break down some of them. Nonito Donaire's making his return for the WBC Bantamweight Championship. Yeah, WBC Bantamweight title against Nordine. Oh God, Auba Ali. I think I said that last name right. I don't know. Love to see Nonito Donaire. He's getting up there. He's at the tail end, I think. But I like Donaire. He's been a good fighter. He's been a strong fighter for 99% of his career. Jamal Charlo returning to the ring June 19th against Juan Montiel for Charlo's WBC middleweight belt. One of the other ones that stood out to me, it seems to be the bigger card, Gervonta Tank Davis is making his return against Mario Barrios. That is June 26th on Showtime pay-per-view. So I guess Gervonta's charge is just gone.
Yeah, I haven't heard nothing about that since it came out. I haven't heard a thing.
Fam, it was on TMZ,
it was Baltimore.
and now it's gone.
It's Baltimore. Baltimore politics. Let's leave Baltimore politics where they are. I don't know how they dealing with they star Golden Child.
We talked about it. I didn't know that it happened in Baltimore. I remember we did talk about it, and when I found that out, we both said that he'd probably be fine now. Actually,
Yeah, he might be smooth. He might be smooth.
Yeah,
I mean, this the first one. I mean, if stuff like this continues to happen, I don't know how they're gonna be. But
first one of what?
This magnitude.
Oh, okay, yeah,
for
fair.
him.
Yeah, that's fair. I hope nothing else happens. I hope he has a really good lawyer. I hope Al Heyman's and Floyd are paying for his lawyers, and the young man can keep continuing on. I'll leave it there.
We'll see.
On that undercard though, somebody we actually talked about last night, I think we were talking during the fights, is fighting. So Jason or Genesian Rosario, remember we were talking about him?
Yeah. The dude that knocked Julian Williams out.
Yep, he is fighting Erickson Lubin. Yeah, he stopped him. Yeah, he's fighting Erickson Lubin. That's going to be a good fucking fight.
Yeah, that should be interesting. Should be interesting.
I'm interested to see that. Absolutely. That's on June 26th. July 3rd, so July 4th weekend, we have Chris Colbert, Little B-Hop. I think they call him Little B-Hop, or they just call him B-Hop. I don't know.
Little B-Hop.
But Chris Little B-Hop Colbert is fighting Yuri Yorkis Gamboa.
Okay, Gamboa getting back in there, huh?
Yep, that's for a WBA super featherweight interim title, which is add another belt to the list that we all need to keep track of.
Yeah.
And then I'll just run down Jermel Charlo fighting Brian Castellano. Guillermo Rigondeaux is fighting John Real Casimiro. I don't know. I like Guillermo, so I'm just going to shout him out.
Me too.
David Benavidez stepping back in the ring in August, and then all the way out in September, late this year, Steph Coolboy Fulton Jr. is fighting the winner of Neri and Omar Figueroa. So that should be exciting. I love Steph Fulton. He's a good fighter. But yeah,
nice
so
lineup, man.
Yeah, all in all, we have
Showtime is. I gotta hang my hat on Showtime and just hold on for dear life, man.
Nah, we got some other shit. I mean, DAZN is not a circus right now.
It's not as bad. No.
DAZN's not a circus.
DAZN's all right.
We got Showtime. We got PBC on Fox, which had some fights this weekend. So we got some, man. I know everybody's talking about the big shit or the big shit. With Jake Paul and Ben Askren and all that bullshit. But with that being said, boxing is still alive, people. Hold on to it dearly. It is still alive. We're still out there. We'll get to a conversation later with all of that and summing up all of the Jake Paul Triller bullshit. But again, I didn't want to lead with it. But with that being said, what else we got? So we went through all of the Showtime fights, has some really interesting stuff on there. I'm excited to see all of those names back in the ring.
Absolutely.
There's not a name there that doesn't really excite me. The Charlo brothers, David Benavidez, basically everyone that should be fighting Canelo is fighting somebody else.
Yeah, right.
That's all fantastic that everybody's working over there. So that's the good stuff. What else we got? Oh, okay. So one of the other things that people were talking about this week is Devin Haney versus Jorge Linares. That is May. That's next month. It is going to be in Las Vegas. So I believe that is the first comeback fight for Las Vegas. I don't know that they've had
with the crowd.
With the crowd, yeah, sold out already.
Okay, yeah.
Now hear me out. I know that there's some questions going on with like the capacity. So like Mandalay Bay, I think they said they can hold like 5,000, and I think the MGM said 1,000. Maybe it might be vice versa, but either way, there's still going to be some fans in the building.
Right.
So it's good to see. Yeah.
We getting there. We're getting closer.
We are making our way back to the normalcy of this sport. Speaking of normalcy of this sport, let me talk about something that's a little not normal. I feel like the topics are going to get weirder and weirder and weirder as we get into this. It's one of those days, one of those pods. Clarissa Shields is officially making her MMA debut.
Yep.
June 10th on PFL. I don't. It's not a league that I've ever heard of.
Okay.
Maybe there's some MMA folks that know that. I don't know if that means anything to any of you guys, but
Right.
other than the fact
Right.
Clarissa Shields is going to be in MMA.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
I mean,
give
I'm
me
gonna
some.
tune in.
Yeah, give me
I'm gonna
some
tune
thoughts,
in.
bro. Give me some thoughts on that. I
I'm gonna
mean,
tune in. I mean, from what I've seen of her in training for this, she seems to be taking it serious. And I mean, she's definitely at the age. She's not like she doesn't have to leave boxing for anything other than
money.
trying to prove money and her. I think she's driven to prove dominance. I think that's where
Is
she's
that
driven.
that's
I
what you
think
think
that's
it is?
where. Yeah, I think she wants to conquer that realm and be the best. I think she's one of those ones that just that's what it's about for her. It's about
Just
proving
greatness
her
and
dominance.
dominance.
Yeah, yeah. I think she's gonna take it serious. I think it should be interesting.
I'm curious. To see,
I know she's gonna slow walk her way in before she get up to
Oh,
them
yeah.
names that somebody like me would know. But still, like I said, it'll be interesting.
I agree. I think it should be interesting. I think she is taking it very seriously. I've seen a lot of her training stuff. She looks good. She looks like she's paying attention and learning and doing all the right things that you're supposed to do. So good for her. More power to her. Again, I hope you're right. I hope it's based on like just trying to be an all around fighter, like dominant in multiple sports, being the GOAT when it comes to every fight sport, not just
I think that's what she's on. I think that's what she's on. I think separating herself she's already done. But
Right.
yeah, I think that's kind of the driving force for her. You know what I mean? From what I see.
I hope so. Yeah, I don't think money necessarily would move her, but I think that it doesn't hurt.
Yeah.
I also think that she may be making close to what she's making in boxing. I'm sure she has negotiating power enough that she's her starting out point for MMA is going to be where she left off in boxing, and then just go up from there. So I think that that's probably the case. I'm excited to see her, no matter what.
Yeah, me too.
And she's back. She's putting herself out in the open. You know, she was just on.
Good Morning America.
Yes. Yeah.
That was different.
Yeah.
Oh.
I don't know that I've ever seen a fighter on Good Morning America, to be honest.
To promote a fight. I don't know.
Yeah, no. That's not the normal press run.
Right.
It's usually like, Showtime and all of these guys, the different podcasts or different vlogs.
First take or something, maybe.
Right, yeah,
I mean,
ESPN.
Yeah.
And her fight's on ESPN, which is, she may be on there. I may not have just not have seen it. So, but Clarissa making her introduction into MMA should be great. Let's be honest, not that's going to be a common theme here in this episode. I have a feeling. Let's be honest, she's going to beat any MMA fighter. I think. And that's leading up to the tier. Leading up to the tier. She's got fast enough hands.
I don't know. Well, yeah. I mean, yeah, she can keep somebody off her, but I don't know what happens when she's on the ground.
Okay.
I don't know what happens.
Maybe I
when
spoke too soon. I just believe in her. I don't know.
I mean, she can definitely keep you off her, but I don't know what happens when she's on the ground. I don't know what happens.
It becomes interesting. It becomes more interesting. I guess a different fight for her, and we I guess we'll see it. I mean, she can only get better.
But what she could do with these in them 4-ounce gloves.
Listen, the fight always starts. Always starts up, standing up.
Yeah. Nobody's gonna really want to have to decipher getting through that.
Yeah, no.
To get her on the ground, that's not gonna be fun.
Those 4-ounce gloves don't tickle. Believe me.
That's not gonna be fun.
Yeah. So Clarissa Shields making her MMA debut June 10th. Again, that's on ESPN Plus. What else we got? Like I said, we're getting into weirder and weirder stuff. Mike Tyson on AEW Wrestling.
I have no idea what that league is or what that is. I just saw it and I'm confused. I don't want Mike to I love that Mike's been getting active and I love he's been like
he's
real
everywhere.
active lately, but I don't want the weird stuff to start happening. Like why are you in wrestling just punching on people?
He's everywhere, bro.
Who?
He's in cannabis. He's in podcasting. He's in boxing. Man. He's in wrestling.
I don't know what that was about though.
He's in MMA too. He was at he was somewhere that I read recently that he was like it was a big deal. He was going to be at this MMA card. I forget. I don't know. Maybe he's like passing out belts or introducing people or whatever. But Mike is everywhere. He's just making his money now, and
Yeah.
so I finally got a chance to listen to the full whatchamacallit card or not card the full interview with Tommy Hearns and Shane Mosley and
Oh
Sugar
yeah,
Ray Leonard.
you're late, man. You're
I
late.
am. I know. He has one that's out brand new now. I already know that. But with that being said, he seems to be mostly about like he's on his business shit. Is what I'm trying to say, basically.
I mean, it's time. I mean, he should be. He should be. Like I think we were talking about that the other day. When this whole Triller thing was presented, it was presented like we know with Mike Tyson and Roy Jones being the kickoff thing prior to what they've done now. You know what I mean? And Tyson was all in with it, and it was Legends Only was what he was talking about as well, which was I guess supposed to be the joint venture or whatever. But that clearly fell through,
Yeah.
and he's still bashing Triller, so he's still dealing with not being. I don't know if it's him not being business savvy enough, or what it is that bad deals just keep happening with Mike, and he just can't. It's things that even with the podcast, like we don't know what happened there, where it just transitioned to this new thing, and it's just like he's there, and everything is put around him, and it's just like okay, go, as opposed to when he was doing it with his boy. You know what I mean? It's just a lot of variables. You just don't know who's behind what with moves that Mike makes.
I will say though, I think Mike has become more business savvy, but I also think it's the boxing game right now, boxing / fight
Outside of
sports.
boxing, more business savvy.
Well,
I would agree.
Yeah, but I think so. It's just got increasingly more complicated, more a lot more gray areas is what I kind of mean to say. Like there's boxing, the traditional stuff. Like this is a perfect example of what we all saw this weekend. If you were tuned in to PBC or on Fox watching the Tony Harrison fight, or even on DAZN watching Demetrius Andre, like those were boxing shows.
Right.
And then there was what we all saw on Triller, which was
a circus, man.
God knows what. I have no idea what I watched.
I'm not with it.
But with that being said, like before we get into the Triller stuff, because that's obviously going to be a big topic of conversation here. There's a lot of gray areas in boxing now. You have boxers in MMA fighters in boxing. Some weird. There's bare knuckle fighting, which is somewhat boxing, somewhat MMA.
And then you got the slap. I don't know if they call that slap boxing. It's not slap.
No,
boxing,
it's not slap boxing.
It's just the slap.
Yeah.
It's like the
what is that called,
I don't know
bro?
what that's called. The one shot slap joint.
Yeah. I don't know, bro. It's
I don't know what that is.
Yeah. So you have all of these things
When did
that
that
are
become a sport?
It's weird. Just there's so much gray area. Like there's just so much gray in between all of this stuff, and they all are starting to blend in together. I think Triller made that very well known this weekend that this is all some weird gray area that we're all living in for fight sports.
Right. It's definitely different, man. I don't know.
All right.
I put this shit on. I put it on Facebook a couple days ago, and I was like, the term BC AC when it comes to describing time periods has now evolved into before COVID and after COVID.
Yeah.
And everything that happens after COVID, son, I don't know what world this is we live in, bro. Shit is just the rules are completely obliterated. I don't know what's going on.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, things are there's weird bags out there right now. That's what we keep. I mean, that's what it really comes down to. There's weird things that people are paying money for now. Like, I mean, take Versus for example. Versus wasn't a thing that people were paying for. It's something that was new. That wasn't really new. Like people have always kind of done that. They've put catalogs against catalogs or this artist against this art, blah, 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 blah. But the fact that it's a bag now is now making it an actual tangible thing. Like that's a real thing. So it's just making it really, really odd, and odd bags, like I said, are everywhere right now. But with that being said, Mike apparently is getting a bag in wrestling. I guess there's one to be had there. So listen,
Sure.
respect to Mike. Mike's making his money.
Always.
And keep doing your thing, man. I guess keep punching wrestlers in the face. Get paid to. I'm curious how much he got paid, but he did get paid to punch a wrestler in his face. But that's cool. Whatever. It is what it is. That leads to the next topic of conversation. So, more cross contamination in your words, my friend. Francis Ngannou. I'm not sure if you're familiar with him, but this kid is a heavyweight from the UFC. He is a powerhouse, just a huge human. And
I caught his last fight.
yeah,
Crazy.
knockout artist, great fighter, big dude with lots of power, basically.
Yeah.
So, who else but one of the other greatest fighters right now, biggest guys right now, Tyson Fury, to have an exchange of words with? So they went back and forth on Twitter this past week. Francis Ngannou, I guess, I think he talked shit about Tyson Fury somehow, some way, and then Tyson Fury came back and said, "Listen, after I beat the shit out of Anthony Joshua, I'll knock you the fuck out."
Right.
Give me some thoughts on all of this.
Well, if he's bringing him over to the boxing ring, I mean, like we know what's going to happen there.
Right.
We know what's going to happen. It's two different languages. I say that all the time. And boxing is boxing. Like the sweet science is not the same thing as MMA. It's just not. And you can be a great fighter in all the styles you train in. It's just different in the ring, man. It's just different. It's certain things that you just maybe I don't know. I can't speak from experience in the MMA world, but it just seems to be certain things that boxers do that are sharper, more accurate, it's more of, again, the science. It's more of a science when it comes to hand-to-hand combat.
Right.
In boxing than it is with MMA and the mixed martial arts and all of the other things that they do. Great, but when it's hand-to-hand, it's just different. It's just different in the ring. So it's never going to be, I don't see a time or a place where an MMA fighter is going to come over to boxing and beat up a world-class fighter. I don't see that happening. Not in boxing.
I agree. But let me play devil's advocate for once. There's the age-old saying in boxing. Everybody says it. I mean, it's an MMA too. I assume it's probably in every fight sport. There's always a puncher's chance.
Indeed.
There's always a puncher's chance.
Indeed.
Do you think there's an opportunity that if this does happen, because we've seen, listen, never say never about anything anymore.
At this point.
Yeah, anything can happen. And with that being said, in a world, let's say that there is a world that this happens, we've seen Tyson Fury go down, and granted,
True.
Undertaker shit, he's stood right up and ready, or sat up and ready to go, and finished out the fight.
Yeah.
Listen, if this fight happens, is there a world that you can see? Because let's say, okay, let me just backtrack a little bit. Let me lean into this a little bit. Let's say Tyson Fury beats Anthony Joshua, the lineal champion, heavyweight champion of the world. Holds every belt in boxing. Then he fights Francis Ngannou. And Francis Ngannou knocks him out.
And becomes the heavyweight champion.
I mean, I doubt they'd actually fight for titles, but let's just say hypothetically.
Right.
They fight for titles. Then we have Francis Ngannou as the lineal heavyweight champion of the world.
Anything's possible after COVID.
AC after COVID, anything is possible, bro. I don't know, man. I just know that they were going back and forth on Twitter, and listen,
I mean, it would be interesting enough. It would be I think that would be a more competitive fight than McGregor and Mayweather was.
Yeah, I'll give you that. Yeah, I don't know much about Francis Ngannou's boxing. I just know that he knows how to throw a punch.
Yeah.
Whether it be an overhand, leaping, Superman, wide open, everywhere else punch or not, he can still hurt somebody. And I mean, he can still hurt Tyson Fury.
And in the heavyweight division, that's what counts.
Yep.
At the end of the day.
Yeah. Deontay Wilder made a career, has made a career out of it. So, but yeah, bro, I don't know. I know that they've been jawing back and forth at each other. So that should be interesting to see. But again, Tyson Fury does have a fight to focus on. Anthony Joshua is not a slouch. I'm still excited to see him. See those two fight because I'm sure AJ is going to.
I'm expecting him to look his best.
Yeah, he has to.
I'm expecting him to look his best. Here.
He doesn't have an opportunity not to because at the end of the day, Anthony Joshua is a younger fighter. Anthony Joshua is coming in. I'm sure coming in hungry, coming in prepared. He knows what's on the line.
Yeah,
plain and simple. He knows what's on the line. History's on the line. His legacy's on the line. Everything. But yeah, bro. With that being said, we might as well jump into it. There's not really much else that happened. I mean, they announced a ton of fights, blah, blah, blah.
Well, first off, Tony Harrison let me down. He let me down this weekend.
I see you want to lead with real boxing. Got it.
Yeah. I'm still holding on. Holding on.
All right, so let's discuss that. Fox, PBC on Fox this past weekend. Tony Harrison, we didn't even talk about it leading up to it. That's how we was tripping. We were speeding through these Zoom podcasts. Tony Harrison fought Bryant Parilla on NBC, or I'm sorry, on Fox. PBC on Fox. They were the main event.
It was a good fight.
It was a fantastic fight,
I
think.
I liked it.
Yeah.
I liked it. I just didn't like what Tony Harrison didn't do. I like what he did, but I just wanted him to do more.
So what did you see? What I guess break the fight down a little bit more for me because we watched it together.
Of course we know he was fighting a lefty, and of course that's your bag. So that got you all excited and into the fight or whatever.
Time out. I'm gonna pause it right there. Hold up. Hold your thought. I don't like the sauce that they was putting on all the lefties. Nobody wants to fight lefties, blah, blah, blah. I mean, that's true. It is. I agree.
It's bullshit.
That was fucked up. Yo, they went. They were trying to go. We were the redheaded stepchildren of boxing.
No, you are. You are.
No, fuck you. Some of the greatest fighters in all of history is southpaws, bitch. Some.
Then there's the rest.
then listen, I can't help but that we special, bro. The rest of y'all just normal.
Well, this one last night was very special because not only was he lefty, but he was moving the opposite direction, and it just made for a weird dance partner for Tony Harris that last night, man.
Yeah, I think Brian Parilla did a lot to throw him off, but at the same time, I mean, listen, I want to give credit to the kid. He's a good fighter. He's a game fighter. His losses were not really that far off of losses. He has some names on his record. Like his resume is not to be slept on. And Tony Harrison has the names. He has the, you know what I mean? Like he has the guys on his card that make are on his resume that are like, oh, okay, I recognize this name, like the Charlos or whatever have you. But like he fought Abel Ramos, Bradis Prescott, Louis Collazo. Like he's got some Jordanis Ugas. Like Brian Parilla has fought some really fucking tough guys.
He fought great last night. I have nothing bad to say about the game plan and how he executed it on his end. And with Roy in his corner.
Yeah. Roy Jones in his corner. I don't know if that really made a difference necessarily. I'm sure. Listen, I give credit to Roy. Roy's one of my favorite fighters growing up. I love Roy Jones. But with that being said, the kid fought his ass off, fought a perfect fight against Tony Harrison, and in my opinion, he won.
Me too. I have to agree with you on that, and that's why I was disappointed. Because I didn't have him winning. I was rooting for the other guy. You know what I'm saying? So, but, it was definitely a good fight. I feel like Tony could have did more, man. I feel like he let him get busy on him too early, and it was too late by the time he was trying to press the on button. You know, it was a whole lot of jabbing, a whole lot of one shot, pop shotting. It wasn't enough punch put out for Tony to do what he needed to do in there that night. And
I agree, bro. I just just looking at
Good fight though.
it was I have to say it was one of the better fights of the weekend. Just because of that high level of boxing. See, we weren't getting that anywhere else.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
Demetrius Andre, there was a few other undercards that were pretty good during each of the fights, but or during each of the main events. But this was the highest level of boxing that I have seen in a while, and I like Tony Harrison, man.
Me too. I love him as a person. Love his character. I love the way he carries himself. I love the way he fights.
Yeah.
Just last night, it just wasn't there.
Listen,
And
but
I mean, a split decision draw is not, the worst thing that could have happened for him. But
right, no,
you know what I mean. But
look, the worst thing that could have happened
loss.
is that he comes off of a loss against Charlo and then takes another loss against a kid that most people think that he probably shouldn't lose to.
right.
But I do have to say this: the fact that Max DeLuca, so that's one of the judges, had it 116, 112, scored for Tony Harrison is fucking outlandish.
Right.
I listen.
I didn't see it.
The 114, 114, I'm okay with. 111, 117 even is still a little bit biased from what we watched. Lou Moretti had it scored for Brian Perillo 117, 111. This fight was really, really fucking close. And again, as more people come to boxing through other avenues, whether it be bare knuckle boxing or whether it be Triller, you guys should be paying attention to shit like this. This is super fucking high level shit.
Right.
They fought at a exponential rate last night. Everything was great. I mean, again, I don't listen. We love Tony Harrison, Brian Perella. You got a new fan from me. I wasn't paying attention before. I'm paying attention now a little bit more. And I'm excited to see what comes for them next. I'd like to see a rematch. Run it back.
I wouldn't be mad at that. I wouldn't be mad at that at all.
I think Tony gives. I believe in Tony Harrison enough. I think like you said, his personality, the type of dude that he is. I think he'd want to run it back. I don't think PBC wants to run that back.
You may be right.
I don't think PBC wants to see him in that situation again because
see Tony Harrison in that situation again?
Yeah. Yep. I think they walk him out to another opponent that's a little bit easier moving forward, and then go from there. I think the overall goal is to see another Charlo to make it a trilogy. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
so,
but I don't know if they're interested in doing that.
I don't know either. I mean, they're obviously looking for the Canelos, the Triple Gs,
right.
Which, by the way, Triple G is apparently on the list or supposedly fighting Ryota Murata in December. There's talks about negotiations with Triple G, but that leads to the next topic of conversation, Demetrius Andrade.
Yep.
So Demetrius Andrade, last night he fought. God, I forget that kid's name. I feel terrible about it, but he won. Either way, he won. As he was supposed to. I'll tell you his name in 2 seconds.
I don't remember it either, bro.
But yeah, so Demetrius Andrade fought to another unanimous decision against Liam Williams. That's right, my bad. So for the WBO middleweight title, Demetrius Andrade is undefeated again, 29-0, 18 knockouts. Not to say that he doesn't have power, but Demetrius Andrade, I think we all kind of know what we're getting.
Right.
That being said, he obviously immediately called out all the big guys. He called out Triple G. He calls out Canelo. He says he wants the Charlo brother, blah, 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 blah. Demetrius Andrade is not exciting enough to watch yet. In most people's opinion, he's not. I don't know what it is about him, bro. I don't know. I want to love him because he's a great fighter. He's very technical, very skilled, nice uppercuts. Like he was landing some good shots against this kid this weekend, and he just still is.
The it factor can't be defined.
That's fair. Yeah.
It can't be defined. So
what is it?
It's something different for every it. every it is different. You know,
Yeah.
it's not the same ingredients every time. So
And you would
I don't know.
listen. You would think. I mean, I watched this kid. He was doing some interviews or something like that, and he was It was like that bit that I think Jimmy Fallon does it, or maybe Jimmy Kimmel. I don't know, but where they read mean tweets, like celebrities read mean tweets about themselves.
Oh shit.
Yeah, so he did a bit where he was reading like mean tweets about himself from other fighters, though. And it was actually really funny. He's got a good personality. This kid he's a funny kid. He's personable. He's boisterous. He talks a lot of shit. Like he's trying to get there.
Right.
But I don't think necessarily like when I have
connecting.
when I have discussions when I have barbershop discussions about who should fight Triple G or who should fight Canelo, Demetrius Andrade is like an afterthought to a lot of people. It's always Charlo. It's always Benavidez. It's, you know what I mean? It's those guys, or even those two should fight each other. So I just don't. What is missing? What is missing?
It's the it, whatever that it is, man. It can't be defined. Like I said, I don't know, because you're right. I mean, he's rarely brought up. Like the sentence concludes with a period, and then there'll be a and Andre too. You know what I'm saying? It's like he's never in the sentence.
And
he's an add-on, and
again,
I don't know why.
Yeah, I don't know what it is. Is it the knockouts? Is it the lack of knockouts? Like,
is it the zone?
Maybe it's his promotional company. Maybe that's what it is. I mean, honestly, that's a good point though. Maybe it's not even a promotional company. Maybe it's DAZN. Maybe it's where he fights.
Because I don't. Well, Canelo's fought on DAZN.
Yeah, but Canelo's Canelo.
Yeah.
Canelo was Canelo before
True.
DAZN.
True.
Canelo
and they
is
give him a big bag.
Right, exactly. So like,
big bag.
I would say people signed up for DAZN because of Canelo, not vice versa. You know what I mean? Not like, you know, they knew who Canelo was because he fought Floyd, and then he's moved up in weight, and he's done all of these amazing things. So, and he's a redheaded Mexican, which is
right.
different too. But yeah, maybe that's what it is. Maybe there's another roadblock there that we are not taking into consideration because we can see him. We do pay attention to him. We have the subscriptions already. You know what I mean? That type of thing. But yeah, I don't know. Demetrius Andrade did beat Liam Williams, though, to a unanimous decision. He did drop him once or twice, but not enough to put him leave him there and keep him down. Listen, the kid deserves fights. I'd like to see a Charlo. I'd like to see Benavidez. I'd like to see one of those guys because at the end of the day, I keep going back to it. I'll put my Canelo cape on.
Oh man,
I don't think that anybody has enough power to beat him. I don't think any of them have enough power. None of them. Benavidez, Charlo, Andrade. I don't think any of them can. Listen, man.
I don't know.
I've seen Triple G throw punches directly in that kid's face. His neck like moved back a little bit, and he just keeps coming forward.
I get it. I get that. That was then, and now we got to see what's next for him, man. I don't know. I still give Charlo a chance, bro. I give him a chance. I want to see it.
You're biased.
I just want to see.
And I don't need to say why you're biased, but you're biased, and I get it. But
why?
Because he's a black fighter. I'm just being honest, bro. It's just because he. Listen, we got what is it?
You're right.
There's Charlo. There's
Soul Brothers.
There's Charlo, and there's what's his name? Andre. We were just talking about. Those are the two black fighters. Do you give Benavidez a shot?
No. Wait. Sorry. All right. It can't be defined.
Okay. I feel like you're defining the it without defining the it, my friend.
It can't be defined, my brother.
All right. So let's get to it, man. Let's get to it because I'm looking at our little lineup that we have here. Yep. So that's it, man. Those are the actual boxing fights that happened this weekend. There was one
more.
No, there wasn't. There was an embarrassment to my motherfucking sport.
Yeah.
So let's kick off with the whole entire overarching shit. And I know this is a headache for you, and we watched it together, and we both were just astonished the whole entire night.
I'll be honest. I believe on last pod I said the jury is still out on Triller. And I was optimistic and I was hopeful for what it could be.
The verdict came back.
Yeah, the verdict is in. Came faster than OJ's. It's it's a dub. It's a dub for me. I don't fuck with that shit. What we witnessed last night was a spectacle, a debacle. It was a circus of astronomical levels, bro. Like unbelievable things were happening all night long, and I'm like, what is on TV right now? It's like it was really like WWF type shit, but it was
Oh man,
that mixed with like the MTV Awards or something. It was like a combination of.
it was
It
something.
was. I I am I'm baffled, bro. Like I don't know what that was. I just can't imagine. I can't imagine Tiafimo defending his titles on that
All right,
platform.
listen. Before we get to TFMO,
Let's start.
let's.
Where you
All
want
right,
to
so
start?
so the Triller event last night with Jake Paul and Ben Askren headlining. We all knew it was coming, like I said, and there's a bunch of casuals and even boxing fans that were waiting with bated breath.
True.
Listen, man, from when we turned it on, and again, we were flipping back and forth between that Tony Harrison fight, like checking that out because they were all going on kind of at the same time.
Yeah.
Uh, man, I don't even know where to start with it. I guess there's some standout things to say. So the first thing I will say is the new generation may not remember, and I feel like they probably should, but this has been done before. Like trying to make boxing more showy, more of a I don't know. I don't want to call it a circus, but more of an event, more of
Right.
a whole entire all-encompassing
A
thing.
production, yeah,
Yeah,
like,
production. That's the word I was looking for. So this has been done before. Back in the 90s, I think it was, like the early 90s to mid 90s. My man Six, though, used to tell me about this because this was kind of before even my era in boxing. But like NBC used to have artists on like boxing shows. Like they used to have musicians perform and a lot of this stuff. And then fast forward another 10 years, 15 years, you walk right into Rock Nation.
The Rock Nation boxing joint. Yeah.
And we talked about this because it seemed very
Yeah.
like
I vividly remember watching a Rock Nation boxing event and Nipsey Hussle came and performed in the middle of the ring. I was like, oh, this is kind of dope. It was presented differently though.
right.
But
It was. I was
this-
so what like we discussed last night. I was at the first Rock Nation, the inaugural Rock Nation show. It was in the theater at the Garden on Everlast Dime, and Fab was there and performed. Beyonce was in the building. They CC Sabathia, who was an active starter for the Yankees at the time. Who else was there? Jake Gyllenhaal was there. There was just boxers were there, celebrities were there. They were making appearances and all of this stuff. They did the same thing where it was a musician like interlude. So Fab performed and.
Yeah.
There's one other performance, I forget who it was, but it was they made a big spectacle of it. And Rock Nation did it a few times where they would kind of pause the show a little bit and you would see an interlude where it was a musician performing
in the middle of the ring performing.
in the middle of the ring. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And so this isn't new necessarily. This is something we've kind of all seen in some way, shape, or form before.
Different variations of it. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
But to this extreme,
This was ridiculous, yo.
it was
I mean,
nuts.
where did Ric Flair come from? I mean, and I like Ric Flair. Salute to Ric Flair. I love Ric Flair, but where did
Listen.
he come from?
We name all right. So I'm. Let's try and narrow it down. Pick your top 3 most outlandish things that you saw during the Triller event, leading up to
Oh,
fights.
well,
Top
number one,
3.
number one on my list right now is Oscar De La Hoya, baby.
Yes.
He was going crazy on the commentating board.
Yeah, baby.
Yo, they had him lit, man.
Yo,
He said
he
the
was.
golden boy in the room with Snoop Dogg. What do you think's gonna happen, baby? Like, he had this
Yo.
nigga high as a kite, yo.
Yo,
And it was embarrassing because I know
It
he was trying
was.
to like just like be a part of this thing and make it fun and make it. He probably wanted to be memed. He wanted this to viral over some kind of, man. It seems like that's what they're into on that platform, and that's what this
Yes.
whole thing was telling me. It was like, oh, this is a numbers game. This is a money game, a numbers game. This is not the sport of boxing. They've completely realized that nobody cares. It's like
Yep.
it's like they it's like they slapped. If boxing and the skill of boxing and the art of boxing was singing or whatever, in musical, they just slapped Autotune on it and sold it to you. Like that's not Whitney Houston's vocals, but that Autotune thing kind of makes it sound cool and it gives it a new little texture to it. I like how that sounds. Now everybody's doing, you know what I'm saying? That's what they did with boxing, bro. They just slapped a plug-in on it and Triller is born. And this is what we've got. And it's just like it's a game to
I listen,
Bruh.
listen. Not to cut you off, but
Shit
I
is
have to say
ridiculous.
that is the best fucking analogy that I have heard about all of this. We've been calling it a circus. People are calling it shit show. People are calling it some crazy, weird, out of this world shit. It's brand new. Blah blah blah. Auto-tune boxing is literally the perfect analogy. They
a
took
fact.
something that was somewhat, no, not somewhat, that to us hardcore boxing fans is sacred,
Yeah.
and they made it
So
something.
anyone can do it.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
And then
Oh
think
my
they're
God.
good at it.
Yo, you blew my whole shit with that. That is
No, it's a
absolutely
fact,
perfect, bro.
It was terrible, man. I mean, I was optimistic. I was not coming into the title event. I mean, Triller event judgmental. Like I was looking forward to just seeing how they presented it, what this Fight Club thing was going to be about. I mean, it's like I don't even know where to start. It was just, I mean,
All right, so top
me
three
being
things
a
though.
hip
You
hop
got
dude,
you
me
said
being a hip hop dude, right? I'm cool with hip hop being implemented in everything. Like I feel like that's what's been going on since I've come in contact with hip hop. It's continued to evolve, grow,
Yeah.
expand,
Take over the world.
and yeah, blend its way into everything. And hip hop is hand in hand with boxing, but at the same time, that shit they was doing last night, that ain't it. Yo, I don't want to hear Snoop, fucking. I don't want to hear him cussing people out or cussing about nothing. I want to hear about the fight.
I listen.
Like you can't be
I enjoyed
commentating and joke. Like, I do. Like I would love Snoop being the commentator for the Discovery Channel or anything other than boxing. I don't want to hear you talk about the fight. I don't want to joke. You funny, you cool, and Snoop is cool on every platform. I love Snoop. I just wasn't feeling that though, man. And when it's a serious fight with titles on the line, I definitely ain't trying to hear Snoop.
Well, that's what I was gonna say actually. So I think, listen, I'm okay with Snoop commentating. I thought he was entertaining the first time. I thought he was entertaining the first Jake Paul fight or the second one, whatever the fuck one it was. I thought he was entertaining during that. I thought he was also entertaining during the actual Jake Paul fight that just happened. I don't want to hear Snoop Dogg narrate, discuss, and commentate Regis Prograis, the former world champion, against Ivan Redcatch, even though Ivan Redcatch blended right the fuck in with the Triller bullshit. We'll get to
I
that
don't
in a
know
second.
why he came
But-
in there like that.
I agree with you. And we've talked about this. We've hinted at it. We'll talk about it later. I don't want to hear Snoop during
It's not a time to be joking and playing. Like
during
like,
a
it was on
title,
some high shit.
Not,
for real,
not
for real.
even not even on a title fight. I don't want to hear Snoop on real boxing. Like personally, no offense to Snoop. Again, color commentary is cool, but I want to hear boxing color
And
commentary.
limited, limited. Like
I would rather
wouldn't mind.
hear.
I wouldn't mind hearing from him between the rounds.
I would rather hear Tim Bradley color commentate than Snoop color commentate.
True.
Listen,
Damn.
and you know
Yeah.
you know how I
It's
feel
yeah.
about Tim
Now
Bradley,
you
bro.
got to give him his props because it can be worse.
It
Right?
could be
It can
worse.
be
It all
worse.
that is the moral of this
Could be
whole
worse.
shit. It always listen.
I mean, they could have even had if I mean Snoop is there because it's Snoop obviously, but I mean you could have even found a artist that's more has more of a boxing IQ
50.
to commentate.
And not that they could
50,
afford
like,
50, but 50. I would listen to 50
I
talk
don't
about
know if they
boxing.
can't afford 50.
That's
I don't know
fair.
if they
I don't
can't
know.
afford 50.
I don't know
I
if
don't know
50,
if 50 would do
put
that
him,
shit, though.
exactly. I don't know if he would put himself in that position to do that.
And
Listen,
even if
but-
he did, he would do it. He would do it the proper way. You know what I'm saying? He wouldn't be there to play. Like he would take it serious.
yeah. I mean,
With his spin on it, but you know,
I think Oscar
Snoop
was
don't know.
just back to your point though about Oscar. He was like you said, high as a fucking kite. That was embarrassing. And again,
Yeah, he played himself.
he's there to have fun. Sure, okay, that's cool. But like Steve Cunningham was a fighter, bro. Like he's still. I mean, he's not active right now, but he's a fighter, bro. He's a former world
Right.
champion. Like, put some respect on his name. Like you calling him a balloon, go pop the balloon with Frank. Like, fam, you box,
Yeah,
bro. Like
yeah.
that's you were a Hall of Famer. Like you talking that type of greasy about boxers. Have some respect for
Right.
your craft. Again,
Right.
our opinion, but have some respect for your craft. You look like a fucking nut. You look like a clown out there. You were clearly high as a kite, whether it was weed, whether it was coke, whatever your fucking forte is. We know it's anything and everything. And like you said,
Right.
baby was his party word, bro. Like
Yeah,
that's what
all
he was
night.
saying. That it was.
All night. You know he do that everywhere he go. It was embarrassing, man.
It really was.
I mean, I never was a huge Oscar De La Hoya fan anyway. He always was corny to me.
See, that's the thing for
I
me.
respect what he did, what he put down in the ring, but he always just that wasn't my speed. And no, it ain't got nothing to do with the fact that he ain't black. It just wasn't my speed. Cause Cotto, I mean, Cotto is Puerto Rican, correct?
Right.
Holyfield is also.
Who?
I mean, De La Hoya, my bad. What I'm
De La Hoya is Mexican. Miguel
De La
Cotto-
Hoya is Mexican, right?
Yeah, De La
So it
Hoya
has
is
nothing to do with him
Mexican.
being Mexican, because it's certain people that just got certain swags, and that's all my point was. But De La Hoya was never fly to me. He was never.
He did make a spectacle of himself.
And
The
that
I will
was,
say
like worse. Like that just worsened it. My point was saying that worsened it. Like last night watching him was like I didn't know he could get more corny to me. But he did.
yeah. No, I think he did. I think Al Bernstein was like, "Where the fuck am I, bro?" Like,
Right.
At
Yeah,
one
that's
point,
how he looked the whole time.
At one point, I watched Pete Davidson blowing like smoke in his basically in his face or in his general direction and
Yeah.
like joking about it and shit. And Pete Davidson
Yeah.
is just sitting there like with the shifty eyes, like,
Yeah.
"What the fuck am I doing here, bro? This is nuts." There
Yeah,
was
like you can literally do anything. Ain't no rules on this joint.
It,
There
that,
was no
and
rules
that's
on there.
and that what it seemed, bro. That's what it seemed like. It was the Wild Wild West out there,
Mm-hmm.
and they did anything and everything from the slapping to
Yeah.
Ric Flair to the musicians,
Yup,
and like
yup.
I don't know, man. I date myself here a little bit, but I remember the days when like HBO boxing would pan to a celebrity and it would be Eddie Murphy and you know what I mean, he'd be like,
be suited and booted.
Yeah,
And
and-
they hear enthused about the sport.
Exactly.
Boxing enthusiasts. Keyword
Exactly.
enthusiasts.
And maybe not, and that's the thing though. Maybe they weren't even enthusiasts. Maybe it was just they were in the building because it was a pop culture moment. But it was not
Yeah.
the way that they had it last night. Like in Floyd fights, that was always a thing that HBO boxing did, and they did it really well. I love to see it. It's like, oh look, Eddie Murphy's here.
Yeah,
Oh
yeah,
look,
yeah.
Rick Ross is here. Oh look,
Yep.
Dave Chappelle is here. That's dope. That was cool. But like
Right.
the focus is where the focus is supposed to be on the fighters.
On the sport. And that was another
Right.
thing. Even like last night, while fights were on and they're commentating, I'm just noticing like, man, it's no shame in the plugs. They plug in everything. Like the fact that I know that they always there smoking purple Urkel, and the fact that I just saw that come across my timeline, like the beginning of this week, that Steve Urkel dropped a new weed strain, and it's called Purple Urkel, and everybody's celebrating him for capitalizing off of his childhood character and making a weed strand, like, and now y'all are talking about that while the fight's going on. It's like, yo, y'all just this is a big mess of a commercial. Like, I don't care.
Yeah.
I don't want to hear about that right now while I'm fighting. Don't try to market to me while the fight's on.
Yeah. No, I'm with you. I agree.
Not
I
in that
think
way. You know what I mean? I mean, it's
it
cool. You want to put it on the shorts and things of that nature. That's cool. But or put it on the ring. And if I notice it, I'll be like, oh damn, I didn't know Duce was involved in it. You know what I mean? But don't sit there and keep talking to me about. Don't shameless plug in the middle of the fight, bro. You know what I'm saying?
I'm with you. I'm with you.
I ain't like that.
I think just to let me play devil's advocate for like 2 seconds to this whole entire shit.
You can try.
Well, I'm gonna try. I'm gonna do my best because we know that we fucking feel the same about it. However, there's a crowd that grew up in the social media generation
True.
that are in their 20s now. I mean,
Yeah.
they're
At
the
least
folks
21.
they're the folks being marketed to. I mean, at least 21. You're talking about 23, 24, 25. Like they're we we're a little bit we're just past that generation, right? So
Right.
we're seeing a generation that doesn't understand what it's like to stay up late with mom and dad or just dad or whatever and uncles and gather around a real like pay-per-view fight.
Right.
Like they have always been here. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? They've always been here. They've always
Yeah.
been scrolling. And I think that those folks are what Triller is
It's that.
trying to
Absolutely.
grab.
It's
And I
designed for that.
and I think they did a fantastic fucking job doing it.
And that I won't disagree with that. I do agree with that. But for me personally, the fix is in, and I see what's going on. You know what I'm saying? Now,
Yeah. I think we're
that's
past
gonna,
the age that we can be
Yeah.
marketed to like that anymore. Like,
but if that leads young viewers into falling in love with the sport and furthering their viewership and bringing people over to like Showtime and new generations over to things of that nature, then that's dope. But other than that, and I'm not so sure that Triller will be a gateway drug for boxing
I'm not either,
addicts.
to
You know
be
what I'm saying?
honest.
I'm not saying that it's going to lead to that because it may not. You might just come to Triller and get stuck there
Yeah, and I
as
think
a young. You know what I mean?
yeah, and I think might as well let's just start diving into fights here. I mean, I think the skill level that they can put on right now. I mean, we're talking about literally right now. We're not talking about a potential future, which maybe there is some legs to it. Maybe they do have, everybody else sees it and they're all watching this because so I was on Rasheem Jefferson's live last night. Him and I were talking for a little bit. And shout out to Rail, Boxing Rail. Follow him, check him out.
Yeah.
Trains phenomenal fighters. He's in Jerron Ennis's camp and Ray Ford and all of these
Yep.
guys. A real boxing guy. So with that being said, like he was like, yo, everybody's talking about this Jake Paul shit. Did anybody bother to watch real boxing last night? Like I'm not going to talk about this. I'm not going to talk about Jake Paul. Like, did anybody watch the real fights that happened yesterday, like
Right.
or tonight or whatever? Did anybody watch that stuff? So like him and I were talking about it though, and he doesn't necessarily think that it's a thing, but like looking at the comments, everyone was talking about it, bro.
Right. And
Everybody,
see, this is the
boxing and
thing.
not boxing.
Again, this is where it can get dangerous. To add on to the earlier analogy, it can become a thing where Triller and the Jake Paul esque type of fights and things like that become the single
Right.
to where Tony Harrison fight is like an album cut. And if
I
this
see.
is all
Yeah,
you
okay.
know about the sport, if boxing is the album, it's like, did you hear the single? Like I got the single. You know what I mean? You might not know about track 9.
Right.
And you might not never even listen to it. You might buy the whole thing just to watch. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? Like
Yep.
it could if you're not careful, it could lead to that.
I agree. And I don't know, man.
And
I
the
just
single's never as good as the album cuts.
yeah, no, absolutely
You know what
not.
I'm saying?
Yeah, yeah.
So it's like,
Yeah, we both agree on that. I mean, again, like we both come from the same thought. I think here, and it's rough because I like to have a devil's advocate for things. And we'll actually get to an interview that we did later. With my man from my man Miguel from Toy Quest 101. We're gonna get to
yeah,
that interview in a minute. But let's just chop it up. Let's talk. All right, let's just leap into it. Frank Mir versus Steve Cunningham. I don't know if there was a fight before it. We watched some of it, most of it,
yeah,
I
we're
think.
flipping back and forth.
Yeah, flipping back and forth. Thoughts, just
Waste of
brief.
time.
Yeah,
Next.
that's pretty much it. Again, this leads to a bigger conversation. This will lead to a bigger conversation about retired guys fighting other retired guys. Steve Cunningham not active, Frank Mir not active,
Right.
and it's the whole. I mean, can run a whole gamut, really. I mean, if we're
I'm
talking,
cool on it, bro. I'm cool on all of that shit.
I get it. I'm curious to see what the numbers were like at that point for Triller. I will be curious about the whole entire numbers pretty soon here in this time period that we're in. I'm curious what type of draw that they have, what type of all of that. But Frank Mir versus Steve Cunningham. Steve Cunningham just put on a boxing lesson pretty much. I mean, there was a lot of hugging, a lot of one shot, two shot here and there. Frank Mir didn't really stand a chance against him, and I don't think that they necessarily thought that he did. But,
Right.
it lasted the full 8 rounds, so
There's
whatever.
that. Waste of time.
Yeah. That's when this shit got, that's when we really started watching. That's when it started getting really weird with Oscar and talking about smoking with Snoop. And it was odd.
Bad,
Let's discuss so this shit bothered me more than anything that I saw last night. The slap fest, the Ric Flair, the Sweetie performance, Justin Bieber's racist ass performing, all of that aside, we had one saving grace. There was supposed to be one saving grace on the Triller card.
Yep.
Regis Prograis against Ivan Redcatch. And we talked about it. I was like, oh, that's actually, okay. Ivan Redcatch, not that strong of a fighter, has lost to quite a few people that we know and have seen, but he's a real fucking fighter. He's got a 30 and something record.
Yeah, at least there's that.
Yeah, Regis Prograis, I think, is like 29-1 or 24-1. I don't know. Former world champion.
Decent.
Again, the saving grace.
Yeah.
Commentary
Thought it was gonna be
aside,
a decent fight.
show aside, all of the shit. Started out Regis Prograis. They were apparently sparring partners before. That's cool. So you know that they're familiar with each other. Regis Prograis is doing what he's supposed to do against Ivan Redcatch, a kid that doesn't necessarily slip, move. He takes 7 punches to give out 2, that kind of thing. That's his style. We kind of knew what to expect, but I was excited to see it. Then comes round 6, right? I think it was a 6th round.
Yeah.
6th round. Ivan Redcatch folds because he folds on the ground.
Yeah.
Writhing around, crying his eyes out, spits out his mouthpiece, can't move.
Yep.
The ref says that Regis Prograis hits him with a low blow.
Low blow.
The first call is a low blow. And then
Replay shows us.
I feel like 2 minutes later, a replay shows it.
Replay shows us it was a forearm to the hip bone
Yeah.
area.
Fam.
He got took out on a stretcher. The only boxer in the whole joint. He got took out on a stretcher. He kept his eyes closed, yo. He didn't want to open his eyes and see people looking at him because he was the show was on, man.
Yo,
that's crazy, yo.
I put it on.
It's like once you commit to this, you gotta act it all the way out.
Well, listen,
so he had to get took out on the stretcher.
He would have had 5 minutes either way.
Right.
That's the thing. When you get hit when you get hit with a low blow, automatically rules state you get 5 minutes to recover. Right. So he could have taken a full 5 minutes to rest, chill out, pretend like he's writhing in pain, but like get his breath back, maybe get his legs back, walk around the ring, get some water even. Like there's a lot you could fucking do in 5 minutes.
Here's the opposite to your argument. On that note, not to say that this was his mind state, but when you look around at what's going on You got Snoop passing Oscar Purple Urkel in the middle of your fight. You got nobody really paying attention to what's going on. They laughing, dancing, partying. Justin Bieber's here. You might say to yourself, "What the fuck am I doing here?" and then come up with your and then you look across from you, and the dude on the other side to you, he's not understanding that this is a fucking joke. He's taking this shit too serious for this to be a thriller event. And he's trying to bust your ass. So you might think to yourself, you know what? This ain't worth it. I'm out of here. And then you just close your eyes and act like you can't get up. Till the stretcher come get you. And that's your exit. That's an exit strategy, man. Ivan Redcatch had an exit strategy.
Listen, that
And he
was
executed it precisely.
that shit was the most embarrassing thing of the night for me, yo. Like, you were the only real boxing draw on the fucking card. Like, you're the okay, cool. We're gonna parade the old guys out, and they're gonna do their thing. They're old,
Right.
so maybe there's a knockout, maybe not. Probably not. And then there's you guys,
Right.
and then there's the main event. That's a big joke. So, what the bro? Like, the amount, I'll be honest, I checked out Twitter today, the day after, and I saw fighters that actually did see it. So Shakur Stevenson was tweeting. Who else? I think Boots was. There was just a few other guys that I follow on Twitter that I know they were tweeting out like, yo, you need to fucking retire. You're embarrassing. Like, you were
to Ivan Redcatch.
Yup.
Yeah, it's over. It's
We
over.
all know that you're soft, that you got nothing left. You just retire, man. Just hang them up. Don't go out like that, but hang them up, bro.
Yeah.
That was absolutely fucking embarrassing. Ivan Redcat should be embarrassed of himself.
He should be.
He got hit with a forearm on the hip. Acted like he got punched in the nuts. Didn't get even remotely close touch.
And kept his eyes closed until the stretcher came. That was
Fam,
crazy.
A stretcher.
crazy.
A
He
stretcher.
took out in a stretcher, yo.
Fam, you got
At a
took
Triller
out.
event.
You got took out on a stretcher for no reason. You
Right,
didn't even
right.
get hit.
That's a hospital bill. Somebody got to pay for nothing.
Oh my god. Well, so with that being said, man, all right. So we were just going to go. We'll recap the Jake Paul fight ourselves, but I want to introduce this interview that we did with my man Miguel over at Toy Quest. Let's get to that. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we got my man Miguel here from Toy Quest 101. Miguel, I want you to introduce yourself, man. Tell the listeners and tell all the people a little bit about yourself, bro.
Hey, what's up, guys? Thank you for having me. My name is Miguel. I'm from Toy Quest 101. Toy Quest 101 is a YouTube show, a pop culture review channel that inspires kids with autism and special needs. Aside from that, I'm in mixed martial arts for about 15 years with my boy Johnny. I love everything that has to do with mixed martial arts, so I appreciate you guys having me here.
Absolutely,
dope.
bro. Yeah, man.
Welcome to the Phantom Punch podcast, man.
Yeah, welcome
Thank
to
you,
the
thank
Phantom
you.
Punch podcast. Welcome. We about to hold your feet to the fire a little bit. You already know. We've been talking trash for the last 3 weeks, back and forth, I think. But yeah, bro. I mean, besides being in mixed martial arts, so you train MMA, Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, a little bit of everything, right?
A little bit of everything: boxing, judo, MMA, jiu-jitsu. I mean, you name it, Muay Thai. Been doing
Yeah.
it for a while, man.
Yeah, so you well-rounded. So you're well-rounded enough. Let's have this conversation, man. I know
I'm ready.
you're a huge Jake Paul fan.
No,
you're
I
the
am
biggest
not.
Jake Paul fan.
Let the record show I hate Jake Paul, all right? But yesterday's event, all right, was a day that will be cemented in the walls of any boxing organization. The name Jake Paul is going to be echoed for generations to come, and his name is cemented in the world of boxing. It's like,
All
no,
right.
I'm kidding. Fuck that guy. I hate that guy. I hate that guy.
All right, man. So tell me what you saw, I guess, because you had money. You put money on Jake Paul, right?
No, I didn't put any money on Jake Paul. I didn't do anything, right? So this is my thing. From an MMA point of view, right? I'm looking at Ben Askren. Ben Askren has had a wonderful, amazing career in MMA. But he's never used his hands. He's a wrestler. He's a ground and pound guy. He's probably the best pick for Jake Paul to fight in a boxing match, right? So all these guys, and everybody's like, "Oh, Miguel, how are you not, riding with the MMA guy?" Well, because just because I like Ben Askren doesn't mean he's gonna win in a boxing match. And if you look at Jake Paul, as much as I hate the guy, right? He's not that bad. He's training. He's young and he's strong. All right. Yeah, he's a YouTube celebrity, right? But styles make fights. You heard that saying,
Right. Yeah,
forever, right?
Yeah, that's a saying in the sport, man.
I told everybody I called it. I called the second round. He did it in one. Now, for those who were like, "Oh, the fight was fixed," man, if you knew the fight was fixed, then you shouldn't be mad that Jake Paul won, because regardless of the fight ending the way it did, if it went to a decision, they weren't going to make Jake Paul lose. So if you were a betting person, you should have betted on Jake Paul regardless of what the odds were, because they weren't going to let Jake Paul lose. And Ben Askren isn't the guy to knock Jake Paul out. Not even this little bit. Not even close. Not even a little bit.
So tell me more about Ben Askren, bro, because I don't know shit about him. We've talked about it on the podcast. We're both boxing fans, hardcore boxing fans. We can talk boxing all day, every day, but I don't know shit other than what I've heard as it's come out in the past, couple weeks or months or whatever leading up to the fight.
Right.
So like he's pure wrestler, right? That's what we should have expected.
So listen, so MMA is obviously mixed martial arts, right? And when you look at fighters in MMA, you have your certain style that some of these fighters really cater to, right? So Ben Askren was that wrestling guy, right? That ground and pound guy. He's going to maul you to death, sort of like Khabib, except Khabib has some hands, right? But in all the fights, if you look back and you Google Ben Askren's fights, whether it was overseas in that organization or whether it's in the UFC, whatever the case is, it's all about him taking his opponent down and just mauling him. And what I mean by that is when guy has that person on the ground, he's not letting him up. There's no chance for that guy to throw hands with Ben Askren because he didn't need to. I'll give you the perfect example. Ronda Rousey. Ronda Rousey dominated her career by judo throwing somebody and putting them in an armbar. That was her bread and butter. But when she went up against somebody who defended that and had hands, or in that case, had kickboxing, right? Because she went against Holly Holmes, she lost.
Holly Holmes is a boxer. I'm just going to let that
correct.
be known.
Yeah,
Correct.
see that's what I feel as though is this. It's all different languages. It's different languages, and I feel like a person like Jake Paul, starting from scratch, can become a better boxer, maybe faster than a person that already has a background in other fighting techniques and styles. You know what I'm saying? Because it's like there's certain things that you do in other styles that you just don't do in boxing. You know what I mean? And those things can be a bad habit in the ring as opposed to being in the octagon. You know what I'm saying? So I feel like when you coming from scratch, you learn it like he's learning, and we see a little bit of improvement in him. You know what I mean? Even the way he knocked him out last night, it was clean. It was a decent one too. It was nice. You know what I'm saying? Like he did, it was nice.
I can't give him no credit, bro. I'm sorry. I keep trying.
I mean, it's not credit. I'm just respecting it.
I feel you. I do agree with that. That's a good point that you
he's
made,
developing. He's developing.
He's developing. My point is all right. So everybody here has been involved in the sport. You know what I mean? We've all been around pros. We've been around high level amateurs, kids coming up. Where I take issue with all of this is this kid is greener than 90% of amateurs in any gym, MMA,
True.
boxing, Muay Thai, anything. He's greener than 90% of them. You and I and everybody here knows I can ramble off 5 names that no one will know, but we all know could get the job done against a Jake Paul.
True.
Oh, I agree.
My issue with this is, and my biggest issue with all of it is just that he's bypassing. He's going from being last in line and all just skipping
Not even in line.
Yeah, not even in line, and he's skipping all the way to the front, and that's where I take problem with it. And he's not. Listen, I try to give him credit, but we're giving credit. Listen, you can only polish a turd so much, but it's still a fucking turd. Right? You know what I mean?
True.
But where I take issue with it is, and what you sent me yesterday, that picture. So there's some memes, I guess, floating around on the internet with Jake LaMotta throwing this leaping right hand and comparing it to the Jake Paul leaping left hand that landed on Ben Askren and put Ben Askren out yesterday. Fam, listen.
virtually identical.
Come on, man.
It's crazy. It's
Yo,
crazy.
you can't listen.
It's
We're
crazy.
not calling Jake LaMotta a Jake Paul, Jake LaMotta, and vice
No,
versa.
we're not. We're 100% not.
We can't do that, bro. But I will say, like everyone has said, yes, he showed improvement and all that stuff, but he finds himself, and I keep saying this. I've said it in conversation. I've said it on the podcast. Listen, he fought Ben Askren, right? Mm-hmm. Who's paying to watch him fight another YouTuber or another celebrity? There's no going back. You can't go backwards now.
No, you can't. So he pretty much put himself in a predicament because now he's got to go up. And we talked about this a little bit. I mean, at the end of the day, I think we're all creating a monster, right? Because whether you like him or whether you don't like him, you're still going to tune in because you want to see if he's going to get knocked out or he's going to keep going up the way he's been going up, right? I mean, that's the whole point of the YouTube life and the whole social media life. Right. He's going to do whatever it takes to get views, right? But at the end of the day, whoever he fights next, and I'm calling it, he's going to have to fight Dylan Dallas. Dylan Dallas is another Ben Askren, and I believe that Jake Paul will beat him too. All right?
So another punching bag is what you're saying.
Pretty much, yeah.
Sounds like it to me.
All right, so I gotta ask a question then. So, being as though you know me from boxing, and being as though Apollo is co-signed with me with boxing, you know me. We've been in the ring together, you and I, training together and all of that. So I'm not speaking for MMA. He's trashing MMA fighters, bro. What is good? Like, how do you feel about that with you with the sport that you hold dearest to your heart? Like, how does that translate to you, man? Because personally, if that was,
you saying Jake Paul beats any MMA fighter?
That's a negative, Ghost Rider. That's a big negative.
Is that what you're saying?
No, but I'm gonna answer that question because I'm glad you asked that question because that is a valid and great question. I'm gonna tell you this: was Ben Askren a choice of mine to represent the MMA community? Hell no. I can name a bunch of different MMA fighters like Eddie Alvarez, who's been in talks about going into that organization. We'll talk about that a little later. But that I know have hands. All right. We're talking about MMA fighters who are known for their hands, not for their ground and pound or wrestling or jiu-jitsu, right? But I will tell you this. I'm happy this happened for Ben Askren because at the end of the day, even though he lost, he really won because he made a $500,000 payday. Yep. That's more than any amount that he's ever gotten paid in his very successful career in MMA, whether it was overseas or here in the UFC. That man has never made that much money. So although it was a sad day for MMA, and although that was a circus, right? My man got paid, and you can't tell me anyone. I'll do that shit for half the price. All right? I don't care. All right? But at the end of the day, a real story, he got paid a lot of money, right? And you're going to see, I'm telling you right now, you're going to see a lot of MMA fighters and a lot of different celebrities going into this because they're getting paid. All right? You saw Frank Mir on the undercard. I thought that was not that great. I thought that was like a sparring match, honestly. Yeah. But I did see that Holyfield got signed to fight the Giant, right? So I'm glad about that. Listen, this is my thing when it comes to that entire circus, right? Everybody's like, well, do you like this? Yeah, I like it. You don't know why? Because I'm seeing people who I used to watch growing up have a last go at it. And whether it makes for good TV or not, it's good to see Mike Tyson in there against Roy Jones or whoever it is that's going in there like Holyfield. Right. And not for nothing, Apollo, I know you're into music. You're telling me you didn't like Snoop Dogg up there with Ice Cube?
No, I didn't. No, I didn't. I didn't like that.
You crazy. I loved it. Absolutely loved it.
That works for every other thing. Hip hop being implemented, it works for selling McDonald's. It works for selling you your cable company. It works for everything. It doesn't work for boxing for me personally. It was too much of a distraction from the sweet science, which we are here for. You know what I'm saying? So
yeah,
I personally didn't enjoy that, and we talked about that last night. I would not, the way they commentated and the way they carried on throughout the night. I can't deal with that in a Teofimo fight. Like that can't be happening. That can't be going on while we got belts on the line, real belts on the line, and a real fight happening. You can't be back.
Yeah, but you're comparing boxing and the culture behind boxing, well, what we know to boxing to what this production is throwing. Because not for nothing, listen, you might not like it, but at the end of the day, I didn't like a lot of things that were going on, right? Justin Bieber forgot he had a second song. Some girl was on there talking about hot Cheetos on a pizza. I was like, what the heck, right? But when it turned to Ric Flair refereeing a slap match, right? Man, I was all in. I was
Bro.
all in. I was all in.
It is, and there's no better word to describe it than what we all witnessed last night was an absolute circus.
Circus.
It just felt like it was a circus, and leading the
It was
circus or the leading.
boxing's version of the BET Awards. That's what that was.
Bro, listen, all I'm saying, not to get too knee deep in the Triller, because we're going to discuss all of that later. But with that being said, I refuse to believe in Jake Paul. I refuse to co-sign Jake Paul. And listen, I hate to say it, and no disrespect to MMA fighters. I've said it before. I've trained with, that I've trained with like a lot of guys that are here in South Jersey, here in Philly. A lot of the MMA community I have love for. That being said, if he keeps beating up on MMA fighters, what does that mean for like? All right, so it continues to make it look bad to me. It makes the sport a mockery more of that sport. More of MMA, and then for me, it just molds it all into boxing because they're fighting boxing rules in a boxing ring with boxing gloves. So then people start to mold it and have the conversation. Like the comments I've seen on Twitter, Instagram, everything are nuts right now. Oh, he could beat Triple G. He could smoke Conor McGregor.
That's a negative.
That's crazy.
But that's the thing though. Like the casual fan right now sees this dude as the savior of the sport. Meanwhile, like there's guys like Raymond Ford from Camden, one of our very local guys who's on the come up. He just got to 8 rounds. Like he just started fighting 8 rounds, and he's coming up through the ranks.
The ticket was not $600,000 either.
Right, he's not getting paid what Jake Paul's getting paid. So I get it from a business perspective, and I get it from like there's money to be made, but at some point you got to ask the question: is it good for the sport? Or is it just making it a mockery?
Now, wait. Now, I'm going to defend MMA because I kind of agree with you and I kind of don't agree with you. But what happened when James Toney went over to the UFC and met Randy Couture?
Exactly.
There were some boxers that went over to the UFC and they didn't have the same outcome. There was a couple more. But
James Toney and, if you want to Holly Holm was a WBC champion before she went there. And look at her. That's all I'm saying.
She's good. And then now, what's her name? The girl,
Clarissa.
Clarissa, yes. But she's good. But at the end of the day, listen, it's 2 different sports. You could compare them all day, right? But I would have never picked Ben Askren to represent MMA. All right. And nothing against him. I love Ben Askren. I think he's a funny dude. I think he looks like somebody's uncle just getting in there, right, to fight. But at the end of the day, I would never picked him. And Jake Paul and whoever their managers are smart because they're not going to pick somebody like Mayweather or somebody in the UFC like Conor McGregor to fight him because he knows
they might pick Mayweather. I wouldn't put that past them.
There's discussion about Floyd fighting his brother.
Yeah.
I'm not even going to bother to.
It's a straight money play.
I can't even dignify that conversation. But with that being said, all right? So let's say Dylan Dennis is next. He fights Dylan Dennis. Let's say he wins. Jake Paul wins. What after that? Listen, let me tell you this. And again, I don't mean to shit on MMA. I promise this is going to come off as me shitting on MMA. But I promise you can put the most washed up fighter in with him. Listen, Ivan Redkach embarrassed himself last night. I would still bet on Ivan Redkach against Jake Paul. I would bet on a boxer who's been boxing for however long, longer than him.
Mm-hmm. I agree.
All right, so let's say he beats Dylan Dennis. Who's next from MMA? Because he's clearly not picking a boxer.
Well, this is the thing, right? So there you have some MMA fighters who absolutely hate us. I'll give you an example. Sean Brady. Sean Brady absolutely hates Jake Paul. I've seen him on social media doing it, and I don't think if they paid Sean to do it, he won't do it because of the mere fact that this is stupid, right?
Right.
But you're going to have some fighters like Ben Askren who are towards the end of their career or somebody who wants to make a payday that's going to see this happening like it has been, and they're going to jump the ship. I'm telling you right now. And I'm going to tell you right now, I know it might have not. We'll wait. I'm waiting for Dana White's reaction. Dana White's upset. I guarantee you he's upset. All right. So something's going to happen where somebody good, and I know there's talks with Eddie Alvarez because he was on Ariel Wani's show, And Oscar De La Hoya reached out to him, and they want to try to get a match together. And he said it was real serious. But Oscar or Eddie Alvarez has hands. All right. He has hands. And you know him. He's from out here. He's from Philly, right?
Yeah, he's from Philly.
So you know him. But it's all going to depend on who, comes out of MMA. I mean, listen, a lot of MMA fighters are in bare knuckle fighting. Yeah. And they're doing a really good job. Chris Lieben, there's a bunch of them, right? So it's all going to depend. But Dylan Dennis is just, you're going to get the same exact situation and the same exact result. I could promise you that. And I wasn't writing Jake Paul because I like Jake Paul. I was writing it on the mere fact that Styles makes fights, and Ben Askren was the wrong person to pick. He was just there at the right time, and he's the right opponent for Jake Paul to make a payday on and a name for himself.
Right.
That's all. That's all.
It's just mind-boggling to me.
Ringling Brothers.
Ringling, yeah.
Bonham and Bailey.
Ringling. All right, so I do have another question for you. Outside of Jake Paul and all, I mean, it still has to do with him, I guess. So during the they were wrapping gloves last night. I had an opportunity just to go through like social media, and ESPN posted. I don't know, somebody posted it where they were talking about what was happening in the locker rooms, and Tyrone Woodley, right? That's his name, Tyrone Woodley. He was in Ben Askren's corner, and Jay Leon Love I'm not sure if you're familiar with Jay Leon's a former WBO world champion, whatever. They're similar weight classes, but they were yip-yapping back and forth at each other because Jay Leon, was talking shit about, Ben Askren, and he was holding Jake Paul's gloves, and he was like, you don't know nothing about these. You don't know nothing about these. So do we think that there is going to be more crossover? Are we talking about actual boxers versus actual MMA fighters in actual boxing? Like Tyrone Woodley, Jay Leon Love, Frank Mir, and Steve Cunningham were like, they're older, they're both past their prime. Do you think we're going to start to see that more and more? I mean,
I don't like it, man. I don't like it. It's like you're familiar with Smack DVD, right? You familiar with Smack, the Rap Battle League? It's like putting them on American Idol. What are we doing? It's two different things.
That's really good.
We're not here. We're not here for that. You know what I'm saying? I don't like it, man. The cross contamination is no bueno for me.
So if they have if it's their own thing on Triller, do you think there's legs? And then do you think there's legs to this? And then give me some examples. Give me some ideas. Give me like Tyrone Woodley versus Jay Leon Love. I wanted to see it because I'm familiar with both of them.
Right. So this is the thing. The common factor here, Tyrone Woodley just lost his last fight in the UFC. I can't even remember if he got cut or not, but he's towards the tail end of his career, right? He just did some movie he was in on Netflix, horrible. He tries to rap, horrible, right? This is perfect for Tyrone Woodley right now to start something in an organization that's making money. If he's looking at Ben Askren, Uncle Ben Askren just made $500,000 in less than a minute. He's gonna jump that. He's gonna jump on that.
Who would?
I would.
Who would?
Right? And I'm gonna tell you what else. I might be showing my age. Who remembers Celebrity Deathmatch on MTV?
Absolutely, love that.
This is it in real life, bro. This is it in real life.
That's what it's got the potential to be, for sure.
That's what I'm saying.
That's a ridiculous reference, but now that you mention it, I mean, I feel like we're quickly approaching that. That's a good point.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
It is.
Yeah, man. Well, I mean, honestly, I was just curious to get your opinion on it. I know that we wanted to talk and we were gonna chop it up about this. You're betting the house on Jake Paul in theory against maybe a few more opponents in MMA, maybe Dylan Dennis, and then whoever listen.
Unless like Justin Bieber gets in there or something.
I did mean to actually bring up the fact that I saw Jake Paul tweet this morning at Nick or Nate. I forget. Nick or Nate Diaz, one or the other, calling one of them out. Give me some thoughts on that, because I know that Nate, I'm familiar with Nate Diaz and his career and the Diaz brothers, the whole aura around them. But if he's calling one of them out, does he have a chance?
Yeah, I think so. Them boys got hands, and they're straight street. They got hands. They got hands. But listen, you got to remember this too. All right. So there's a big difference between Ben Askren and the Diaz brothers when you talk about styles, right? But at the end of the day, Jake Paul has been training in boxing this entire time. So, but I don't know. I don't know who I would pick in that scenario, right? I mean, I'm gonna probably go with my boys, the Diaz brothers, because I know they got hands. I know they're crazy enough to do it, and they have enough power and technique to probably go in there and either last the entire fight or do some damage and probably finish Jake Paul. But at the end of the day, Jake Paul's been training in this, and he's a big boy, and he's you got to give him some credit. He's not that bad for being some YouTuber that just came up to fight. I mean, you're showing some. I mean, even look when you compare his training videos with Ben Askren's hitting pads or hitting the bag looks awful compared to Jake Paul doing it. And I'm not saying he's the most skilled fighter. I'm not saying he's even a boxer, bro. I'm just saying it's just like jiu-jitsu, right?
The blank
if
canvas,
I get a guy who's doing jiu-jitsu for 6 months, I guarantee he will wipe the floor with anybody who hasn't.
Right.
Right? But the Diaz brothers, if he goes in there, that's more of a well put together match than it was for him against Ben Askren. That's all I'm saying. And I hate Jake Paul. I'm just gonna keep saying it. I don't like him. I don't. He's whack.
Do you believe in Jake Paul's power?
But he's smart.
Do you believe in the power that was there? Or is it just Ben Askren's chin?
That's a good question. I think it's a little bit of both. No, you know what? You know what? Listen, Ben Askren has taken punches from a lot of people. Robbie Lawler was the last one, right? I mean, but you got to remember, too, his last fight in the UFC, he got the Masvidal knee. After you get hit like that, sometimes you don't come back with that chin the way you do, right? You've seen it in boxing where somebody gets knocked down and they're not the same again after a certain amount of time. So I don't know if that took, some type of work here that happened. But I don't think Ben Askren's chin is the best, but he's taken some really big punches from really powerful MMA fighters in the organizations that he's been. So I do believe Jake Paul has some sort of power. I mean, you heard it in the pop, you heard it in the video, you saw it.
It connected. It was a good shot.
It was a good shot. It was a good shot. As much as I hate to admit it, was a good shot. And listen, that Jake LaMotta reference, you can't deny it looked identical.
Yo, I can't give you that. I still refuse to give it to him. I still refuse.
That's the definition of a puncher's chance. Everybody has it.
Yeah. I mean, look, listen, at the end of the day, the kid has gotten us talking and millions of people talking. I mean, like I said, the comment section looks nasty right now when they're comparing him to some of the greatest fighters of all time. Personally, I don't believe in him. I don't think he beats a boxer. He doesn't,
but they're never going to put him against a boxer. Who are they going to put him against? Listen, let's do this right now. At what point in Jake Paul's career, and what fight are they actually going to put him up against a decent boxer? Or not even a decent, but just a boxer that somebody knows their name. At what point? He went up against a YouTube star, he went up against the NBA dude, and now he went against Ben Askren. So out of those three, Ben Askren probably had the best chance, right? But it's still not anybody worth saying, all right, Jake Paul's the truth right now. It's not. The only thing is that he knows what he's doing, he's making money, and he's winning. That's it.
Did you buy the fight?
No, man, I legally streamed that like crazy.
All right, I was just making sure, bro. I wanted to make sure you wasn't spending your money on that.
No.
Well, man, Miguel, we appreciate your time, man, and absolutely love you coming on here. We're definitely gonna have you come back in. Also, I want to get. I do have one more question for you. How do you feel about the fact that? Because I ended up watching the Robert Whitaker, right? That's his name.
Whitaker?
I watched the rest. I watched that main event last night on UFC, and great fight, great fighter. But they put up the purse difference that Ben Askren made fighting Jake Paul, and it was like you said. I think it was like $500,000, and Robert Whitaker was not even half of that.
Not even half, and that's the shame of it, right? So if I want to be embarrassed for MMA, that's where I'm going to be embarrassed at. Not the fact that Ben Askren came over, got beat up by a YouTube star, and made $500,000. Where I'm going to be embarrassed for my MMA community is not the fighters that are doing this. It's the fact that you got fighters like Robert Whitaker, like Kevin Gastelum, like all these fighters in there now, except maybe Conor McGregor, except Khabib, and some of the few high-end fighters that are making crap, right? The average MMA fighter who goes into the UFC, their starting salary for the fight, I believe, and don't quote me on this, is between 6 to maybe 12 grand without any fight bonuses or fight wins or anything like that. It's not a lot of money. And you got to realize you got to pay for your coaches, which you probably most likely have 3, your training camp, your travel is paid for, but when you're out there, you're eating, right? There's a lot of things that go into any training camp, whether it's boxing or UFC or any other sport,
Right.
and they're getting paid a little bit of money. And that's just how the sport has been. And that's why there's been a lot of controversies about fighter unions and all that. But that's exactly why you're going to see more MMA fighters do this crossover into boxing and this circus that we're talking about. It's just a recipe that they know and they're taking advantage of. And it's been working, whether we like it or not. That's how it comes down to. And I hate that I just said that.
So do I. I have a feeling we're going to be back to discuss this, my friend. But yeah, ladies and gentlemen, Miguel from Toy Quest 101. Miguel, where can everybody check out Toy Quest 101, man?
Hey, listen, I know this is a boxing podcast, by the way. I love it. You know, it's great, great talk all the time, you know, with Apollo and Johnny. But, you know, like I said, my show is with my daughter. She's 13. She has autism. You know, we try to inspire kids with autism and special needs to be on YouTube, right? Because they might think that their disability might be a roadblock to accomplishing their dreams. But we review all pop culture related things, Batman, Superman, Marvel, Disney, you name it. We have celebrities come on to the show all the time. It's just a good way to support. If you guys want to give us a follow, give us a follow. I'm sure there's going to be one video that you're going to be like, oh, that's cool. But we have some really cool and interesting things on our show that you guys might like. We've had UFC fighters on the show. We've had boxers on the show. So we do have all kinds of celebrities come on to the show. We talk about their career and things that make an impact in the world today. So it'd be nice for you guys to follow. And again, I appreciate being on this podcast. I'm a huge fan from day one. Apollo, Johnny, you guys are the best. So thank you.
All right, brother. We appreciate you, man. Yeah, absolutely. And we'll catch up with you soon, all right?
Hey, man, no problem.
All right, brother. Peace.
All right, man.
All right, man. So that was Miguel. We appreciate you coming on, man.
Yeah, man. Appreciate you, bro.
Yeah, absolutely. If you haven't checked out Toy Quest 101 yet on YouTube, check him out. He's got an Instagram. He does all of this for a lot of great causes. Him and his daughter do some really, really cool stuff. And again, like he said, he's had fighters on and stuff. So check him out for sure. Now, regardless. Listen, that's like I've talked about. Him and I have trained together, so him and I go back a little far. So, listen, man, the Jake Paul fight was just, I don't know what to call it.
A waste of time, man. Waste of time.
All I want to say is,
I'm not with that.
What I didn't mention to Miguel is I asked him if he bet on Jake Paul. I actually. Just for fucking principle's sake, I put $5 on Ben Askren and I lost my $5 clearly.
Yeah, well, I mean, like I said, overall, it was a nice shot and he did what he did. I'm not a believer either in Jake Paul or his brother. I'm not really interested in seeing where this goes or what it leads to. But you know, we covering the sport, and for some reason, he's news, so. We got to talk about this shit.
He's part of it.
I'm not cool with none of the. I don't like none of it. I don't like the cross contamination shit. I don't like the celebrities getting involved. I just want boxing, bro. That's all I want. Man.
And I don't know if we.
What it is.
I don't know if we
talked
talked
need no
about
cut
it.
on it.
I don't know. Yeah, I like that reference. Which, by the way, I think I'm almost caught up to you with Snowfall. I'm almost through season 4. Oh my god.
Yeah, you on your
Thank
way,
you.
Man.
I appreciate you. You put me on to it. So,
yeah.
Anyways,
you on your way. You on your way.
I'm almost there. But with that being said, listen, if you're gonna fight MMA fighters, and you're gonna keep watching MMA fighters, you're bringing it to boxing, but it's not like the conversations that I'm gonna have with anybody are not gonna be about actual boxing. It's this weird thing. It's not,
right.
You know what I mean? It's not like, yes, they are boxing each other. However, it's not real boxing. Right. I got my haircut this weekend, and there's one of the barbers there. He trains with Coach Anthony. Shout out to Coach Anthony.
Okay.
And then the other dude is just like, whatever, barber, regular barber, whatever. And he mentioned to me, like, he was like, yo, like, yeah, man, no, he's taking this seriously. Like, Jake Paul is really going to be a problem, blah, blah, blah. Like, he's really, he's really got it. He's really putting time in. And I didn't even have to say anything. Like, it was all over my face, but I didn't have to say nothing. But the other dude who has spent time in the ring, he trains like he's an actual boxer. I don't know if he's boxed previously, but I know that he's spent some time in the ring doing actual boxing shit.
Right.
Said, look, listen, man, he can keep beating up on these MMA fighters as often as he wants. But I promise you, the second that he steps into the ring with a fighter that's even washed, even an old fighter, Ricky fucking Hatton, who's probably at his weight class, but a former world champion, anybody, it doesn't matter. I don't know why I single Ricky Hatton out. He caught it straight for no reason. But anytime he steps into the ring with a real fighter, a real boxer, it's over for him.
Yeah. It's different.
It's different.
I don't understand why that's even a conversation that's questionable. You know what I mean? It's like it's a trending topic. That's all it is. It's not a reality world. It's not a reality conversation. It's just a trending topic. And credit to him for that, just getting people talking. And he gonna play into that even more and more. But that's the marketing. That's how they doing it. Like the people that really do fuck with boxing know that this is a joke. But he's trying to prove that it's not a joke to people who don't really fuck with boxing. So they're believing that shit. You know what I'm saying? So it's like it's working. Either way, it's working. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
If he making us mad or making them believers, and then they coming to us with the bullshit, it's working. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, that's fair. Yeah. I mean, I guess the moral of the story, to sum everything up, is I refuse to get into another argument with anybody over this. I just can't do it. I can't. There's no reason to have a discussion. If you take it seriously and you don't realize what it is for what it is, then you're his target demographic.
Right.
And I'm not that.
Right.
We're not that. So
Right.
But with that being said, bro, there was a lot of eyes on the sport, the overall arching sport of fighting this week. It was a great thing, I guess, for just people and that had gloves on. You know who it's a great thing for? It's a great thing for those. Oh, there we go. It's a great thing for those guys, and it's a great thing for those guys.
Yeah,
because it's the same shit, same equipment getting used everywhere. Right. So you know what I mean. But ladies and gentlemen, that leads to one thing and one thing only: this week's fantasy fight. Yeah, it's my turn now, buddy. All right.
Let's go.
So this week's fantasy fight for episode 40, I had to stick you with it. I knew, you know what I mean? I knew it was.
Let's go. I'm ready.
I knew what it was. All right. So one of. This is one of the most debated fights in all of history. In our generation, and it will be argued about for time to come.
True.
We have Floyd Money Mayweather taking on the one, the only, Sugar Ray Leonard.
Okay. Well,
who do you have in this?
You're asking me.
I am. Well, first and foremost, before I ask you, everyone, please let us know what you think. Sugar Ray Leonard versus Floyd Mayweather, both in their prime, both ready to go. What do you think? Let us know in the comments.
All right. So Floyd versus Sugar Ray.
Prime and prime.
Prime and prime. First of all, let me say this.
Say it. Say it.
I'm no fool. And the eye test and what we've seen and what we believe we know from Sugar Ray's wars with Duran, with Hearns, it's
Hagler.
Hagler. It would lead you to believe that he'll just demolish Floyd Mayweather. it would lead you to believe that if you just going off of punch output and just the aggression and the skill, the way he moved, the way he fights, and the people and the opposition he had to face and overcome,
Right.
it would
Right.
lead you to believe that. But
You're a liar either way.
no. But Floyd Mayweather, for all you can say, positive or negative about him and who he fought, when he fought them, all the excuses people use. The one thing that doesn't get mentioned enough about Floyd Mayweather is he is a master adjuster to any conditions in the ring. He's a master adjustment maker. He always has another level he can ascend to. Time and time and time again. Whatever it's going to take to get out of here with the win, I know how to get there. So with that being said, I got Floyd, man.
Oh, come on. You did all of that just to pick
I got
fucking Floyd.
man. I got Floyd. I feel he'll make the Sugar Ray is who Sugar Ray is. I'm no fool, but I feel like Floyd will make the adjustments needed to be who the fuck Floyd is, and that's Money fucking Mayweather, man. I'm running with Floyd, nigga. Fuck you.
I think everybody knows who I'm picking. That being said, I agree with you, and I think that they would, in their prime, potentially fight to a draw. And I'm not saying that I'm saying it's a draw. I do give the edge to Sugar Ray Leonard, and here's a couple reasons why.
Go ahead.
Sugar Ray Leonard, again, competition, resume, all of that stuff. But what I think goes unsaid about Sugar Ray is, like you said, you know, Floyd has something that maybe goes unsaid. Even though I give you credit on that, I think Floyd is a master adjuster. You know, he got hit by Shane Mosley and adjusted. Never touched him again the rest of the fight. Really.
Ever again.
For sort of. But with that being said, I think people got discouraged against Floyd. I think that Floyd took weapons away.
Mm-hmm.
But I also I also think that a lot of those weapons ended up being very, not to disrespect anybody, but very one.
Tolerate any Floyd Mayweather hate.
Fuck you and that Floyd Mayweather shit, yo. That was actually a good conversation that we had with everybody. But with that being said, Sugar Ray Leonard never lost determination, and I say that because he lost to Duran, and it might be one of those type of things. He lost to Duran because Duran outworked him. Duran had a lot of power. Duran was a very intimidating dude. He even said it, that he's never been hit like that in his entire life.
Hands of stone.
Manos de piedra. So, but with that being said, you saw what happened when they came back. Now, granted, yes, Duran may have been a little out of shape or all of that stuff, but but Duran came out and he fought exactly how you're supposed to fight then and there against that type of fighter. Yeah. Frustrate the shit out of him.
Yeah.
Jab him to death, keep him away. Now you look at another version of that fight, and he knew what he had to do against Tommy Hearns in both fights. And even though the second one is a little dicey about which way it could have gone, right? I think that he demonstrated in that fight too where to show aggression and where not to. I mean, Sugar Ray came off of the canvas and won quite a few fights. It was not something. I think the determination there is something that Floyd has never come in contact with. And I say that because you can see it on Canelo's face. When Canelo was missing these shots and throughout the night, throwing his best punches and it wasn't doing much or it wasn't connecting,
Right.
you see him get deflated a little bit. Manny tried to keep up pressure, but couldn't the whole entire night. There was some points that Manny couldn't. Manny had to stop.
Yeah.
Same thing with Sugar Shane. Shane landed that one shot, tried to capitalize on it. Floyd made adjustments, got discouraged. I think that the heart is the difference in the fight, and I think that Sugar Ray Leonard can think on his feet just as well as Floyd.
Maybe.
And I think that just given the resume and the fact that he fought fantastic fighters of all walks of life, slipping, moving, boxers, punchers,
I mean,
sluggers, all of these guys. Like, I
you
think
can't.
that.
Go ahead, finish it.
I was just going to say, I think that makes the difference. Then there's one last factor that makes the difference. 15 rounds makes a difference.
I don't agree.
Of course you don't agree.
I agree with that point for the majority. But like if we're talking about anything, any fight, any fantasy fight, I agree with that being a factor for anybody but the exception to the rule that is Floyd Mayweather. You got to be honest, man. That man is his discipline. It wouldn't matter if they was on 15 rounds still. It wouldn't matter for him.
No.
I don't think so.
I don't mean that. I don't mean them fighting 15 rounds. I mean the fact that Sugar Ray Leonard has fought 15 round fights. So
You mean just getting around as in getting the rounds in?
He's seen more rounds.
Yeah.
Plain and simple, he's seen more rounds
Well,
than Floyd.
I get that. But,
That's all I mean.
But I also don't know if Sugar Ray was during training camps and all of that. I don't know if they had a something equivalent to the doghouse.
I mean, I can't speak. I don't know.
I don't know if they was
that's
getting it in the way Floyd and them
I'm
getting
sure
it up
they
in there.
were though,
I
man.
don't
The
know.
80s were different, bro. The 80s.
I just don't know. I mean,
All
all
that's
this
fair.
all this is speculation.
It is, and anything is pure speculation when it comes to the fantasy
know.
fights. But so we're opposite each other. You have Floyd,
Floyd, bro.
obviously, and I have Sugar Ray,
Master
obviously.
adjustment maker, bro. So whatever you bring in, there will be an adjustment made. You better do it the first time, because if you don't get it off, you're not gonna get it off.
And I think speed comes into it too. That's another. I mean, I don't want. Let's not get too in the weeds. But again, I'm opposite of you. But whatever on this. Please let us know what you think in the comments. Let us know
I know what
who
they
wins.
gonna say, man. You got the Floyd Mayweather hate train running on the Fan of Punch podcast page, and I don't
Listen,
like that shit.
I tagged in just some regular old boxing folks.
Yeah.
Shout out to my man Jose Guzman. Well, no, Eric Kelly sided with you.
He said some good shit.
Nah, well,
He
first
said
of
some
all,
good
I
shit.
feel like he wasn't taking my point for what I was saying. You made the argument, not me. I'm just rolling with what you said. Who is the most entertaining fighter? Fam. Entertainment value. Entertainment.
No,
Yes.
it's
I'm
not.
tuning
I
in.
mean,
Listen.
he was entertainment. He was entertainment to where he from.
Listen, they put Floyd highlights on boxing pages. They put Manny highlights on ESPN pages.
They don't like
And
Floyd just
ladies-
like you don't, bro. What are you talking about?
What happened? What do you mean?
They don't like Floyd just like you don't. What are you talking about?
ESPN?
Yeah.
That's not true. ESPN's not. You think ESPN's biased against Floyd Mayweather?
Yes, I do.
That's interesting. That's a new take for me. I don't know why, but maybe. All right, ladies and gentlemen, that is it for Phantom Punch Podcast, episode 40. What you got for your walkout this week, bro?
Whoa. Nothing more, nothing less. I feel like we should just leave it at that.
I want mine. Damn, can I get mine? All right, well, you know what I mean? Black Rob, whoa. That's your walkout.
Yeah.
This week, for me, I'm coming out to RIP, two legends, X and Black Rob, 24 Hours to Live.
There you go. Rest in peace.
Rest in peace of both of them. Yeah, both legends.
As you can see, this pod was a little all over the place. Art reflects reality, and this weekend was a weekend like one of these, man. It's just I don't know
Lot
what's
to
going
cover.
on. I don't know what's going on. I don't know what's going on. Hopefully next week will be more real boxing to cover.
Yeah, we should be back.
More real
Be
topics
back
to
in person.
address.
So
Yeah.
no more Zooms and all that shit.
Yup.
Yeah, we'll see. Yeah, but either way, we appreciate y'all tuning in. I'm Johnny Softball here with Apollo Ali.
Yes, sir. And as always, salute to every fighter that enters the ring, with the exception to Jake Paul. We see y'all next week, man.
Peace.